In this video, we're going to turn this drawing into a realistic artwork using IbisPaint X. So here we are in IbisPaint X, and let's start by tracing our subject. First, I'll lower the opacity like this, and then select Lasso Fill from the Special Tool section. I'll also enable the Bezier curve from the drawing tools since our subject has some curves. Now let's pick a color. I'm going with white, and slowly start placing points to trace our subject. Once we go all the way around, we run into a common problem. We can't see what we're doing. But no worries, just lower the opacity again like this, and now we can easily trace the rest of the subject. All right, I've traced out each part separately, and let me tell you, it was a pain. But I didn't go too crazy with the details. Now let's add some texture. Since it's a robot, I'm using this metal texture. And to make it look realistic, I'll use the Mesh Transform tool to wrap it around like this, giving it that nice rounded 3D look. This part is really important because if you don't wrap the texture properly, it'll look flat. Next up, shadows. Shadows add depth and make the design pop. We need to apply this metal texture to each and every part of the subject. By the way, I'm using the same texture for all the parts to keep things consistent. Now let's warp this section around like this, making sure it keeps that 3D effect. For the chest area, things get a bit tricky. It needs that bulging effect. So I'm thinking of using half of the texture first and then adding another one to cover up the rest.
A few moments later.
I finally managed to add texture to all the parts, and now we need to paint the shadows. Now let's add its neck. For that, I'm using these pipes. Let's cut them out really quickly, place them in like this, and use the warp tool to get the shape right. For the rest of the tube, I'm going to change the settings on this brush to make it a 3D brush, painting these tubes like this. We need to paint the shadows to blend them in. The same goes for the other tubes as well. Now let's trace these other details on the robot using the same method I used before. Next, I'll trace a shape for this round part. Now it's time to add the colors. I'm still confused about which blending mode to use. For now, I'm going with soft light, but I might change it later. One by one, I started painting colors on each part, and it was quite a hassle.
A few moments later.
So this is our final look, and yeah, I changed the blending mode from soft light to overlay. This is the background I'm going with. Honestly, I tried different backgrounds, but nothing seemed to work for me, so I chose this one. Now let's run a recap.